Make yourself really nice and comfortable and settle yourselves down. And perhaps take 3 nice deep breaths. Allowing the breath to exit. Allowing new breath to enter the body. Letting go of some part of the morning. If you feel like it, give your shoulders a roll. Make any head and neck adjustments. Or simply just check in with the spine and just check that you're lengthening up through your spine. So nice long spine from your tailbone to the crown of your head. Feeling like you've got an imaginary thread leading you upwards. And settle the hands down onto the knees or in your lap. And just ground yourself down through your sit bones. Also being able to take the internal focus as well. Bringing that self-awareness through the internal drishti point. So going within, allowing yourself to peel off the external layers and go within to your soft center, or true self, or Buddha nature. And bring your awareness to yourself sitting here and your surroundings. The space around you, in your room, and then expanding your awareness outside of your room, outside of your house, and outside on the planet and in the universe. So try and visualize your self-awareness and your present moment of you sitting here, and the experience of that too. And slowly with that, start coming into your breath a little bit deeper. Finding your connection with yourself. It always feels easier, I find, when you find that connection with nature first. And then bring yourself back to connect with yourself. It somehow just brings back the reality of you being part of the universe. So taking the breath slightly longer and deeper. Feeling your lower back and belly expanding, rib cage, and your chest and shoulders. And as you exhale, the shoulders release, arms, rib cage, belly, lower back. And feel a really beautiful release with your exhale. And making your breath work for you in a way that you can really start to let go and surrender in a place that you feel safe to. And draw your attention to your feet and toes, and taking a body scan, drawing awareness to your body your physical body. Notice your ankles and your lower legs. Notice the area around the knee joint and the legs. So drawing your attention to these parts without judgment. Just noticing if there's any particular area that has injury or is tense. And just noticing it and letting it go again. So you're just bringing a full awareness to different parts of your body, just knowing and realizing what's going on. And then you're able to let go of that attachment to it and what's going on with it. And draw your attention to your pelvis and your lower back. Feeling lightness in this area. Feeling lightness in the whole of the body. Feeling the rib cage and the chest and upper back. And bringing your awareness to your shoulders and arms. And creating again a sense of lightness and expansion. It's very easy at the moment to feel closed in, crushed by our four walls, or not being able to do the things that we want to do. So bring that into your own personal practice of developing that sense of lightness, expansion and growth. And that being able to continually evolve even in these circumstances. And lengthening through your neck and throat and the back of the skull and head and face. Feel the softness in your face and jaw, the lightness in your head, like it's a helium balloon just hanging in the sky, hanging in the air, light as a feather. And visualize any pressures, demands, dramas in the mind just popping out of that helium balloon, dissolving into the ether, disappearing and letting them go. And purely enjoying your lightness. And bringing that sense of acceptance to everything unfolding as it should. Letting the universe take care of details of any plans. If the mind's wandered off too much, come back to your breath and the focus of your breath and the softness of your breath. And start to bring both hands one on top of the other, on top of your heart space. And here continue with feeling and cultivating the lightness of yourself within. Light as a feather, body flowing freely, the cells healthily and magically dancing around the body. And slowly start to bring your hands into prayer in front of your heart space and your chest. And drop the chin a little bit towards your hands so you feel the length in the back of the head and neck. And feel your seal through your fingertips and hands. And set an intention here for your practice. Your resolve, you planting a seed into the rich soil of your subconscious. And repeat it to yourself 3 times. And when you finish setting your intention, allow your hands to move across your mat and move yourself slowly into child's pose. So keeping your eyes just softly closed still and moving into a comfortable child's pose and bringing the forehead down onto the floor. And coming into your breath, fully here, getting your forehead onto the floor, onto the mat. And again, sensing that lightness through your body, through your mind, practicing living lightly and with a carefree attitude. And breathing nice, deeper breath inhalations and deeper exhalations. Inhaling, exhaling. Gradually with your next inhale, start lifting the head a little. And moving yourself with the hips higher into puppy pose where you can bring the hands either lengthened up either in front of you or your hands behind you in prayer. And here you should feel a nice stretch along the upper back and the shoulder blades.
And start releasing the hands towards the mat. And lifting yourself just a little way up. So you can lengthen your left hand away and bring your right hand underneath. And settle the right ear down to the floor, or your right hand. Nice deep breath. Take an inhale, reach the left hand up towards the ceiling. Exhale, turn the palm to the back wall and half bind. Inhale, exhale, reaching up, releasing the hand. And swapping sides, so your right hand can glide away and the left arm can glide underneath the opposite arm. Inhale, send the right arm up towards the sky. And release the hand behind the back, half binding. And inhale, lifting up. Exhale, coming down. And lift yourself up into tabletop. So focusing a little bit more today with your drishti, which means sight in Sanskrit, or focus. So take an inhale and lift up your gaze. And as you exhale, drop the head and start bringing the gaze towards your navel. Inhale, lifting the gaze, lifting your drishti. Exhale, push the hands away, drop the head, take your gaze to your navel. Inhale, lengthening up. Exhale, curling back. Inhale, coming forward. Exhale, moving back. Coming to neutral. So planting your hands, setting your position with your hands and feet. Start tucking the toes and lifting your hips high towards the ceiling. So your drishti and your gaze point is actually towards your navel in downward facing dog. But often this can encourage the head too much to strain and move in a more pulled position for some people. So try taking your gaze in downward facing dog to your either between your knees or between your inner thighs. And breathing. And your belly drawing up. Hips lifting high. Breathing nice deep breath. And start taking some movements through with your knees now. And once you've found your drishti, your focal point might move a little bit, but that's okay. Once you're taking a little bit of movement, you just find that nice stretch behind your legs and your hamstrings. Your first downward facing dog probably of the day. And let's start lowering the knees, hovering above the mat, and send your hips back away from you. So extra movement and pressure through your hands. Exhale, take the heels down towards the mat, lengthening through your spine. Inhale, dropping the knees down, hovering. Exhale, shooting the hips back up again. Inhale once more. Send the hips back like you're about to spring forward like a cat. Exhale, heels down. Taking your gaze forward to your hands. In between your hands, take your right leg through. Left knee onto the floor. Inhale, reach the hands up. Take your drishti up towards the ceiling. Exhale, take your gaze back down towards your foot and step your right leg back, keeping your gaze in front of you. Lower the knees, chest and chin. Inhale, start pressing down through the hands, rolling the shoulders back, lifting the gaze just a little way in front of you again. Inhale, exhale, come to the knees and take downward facing dog. 3 breaths here. Keeping your gaze and your focus. And remember, by keeping your focal point, you'll help to aid your practice and keep that self-awareness inside. It will prevent you from kind of moving around too much in your mind or in your sight, especially if you're in a group setting. Your eyes start wandering around to what other people are doing. So let's start taking an inhale, gazing forward, and take the left leg through and the right knee onto the floor. Inhale, send the gaze up. Release your shoulders into the body. Inhale, exhale, take the gaze back down towards the floor. Send that foot back again. Find plank, gaze ahead. Juristi lowers as you lower the body. Inhale, rising up. Cobra. Exhale, come into downward facing dog. Inhale, send the right leg up towards the ceiling. And if you like, take the gaze and the drishti up towards the ceiling as well, without strain or pressure through your neck though. If there's any strain, keep the gaze facing down. And release the right leg. Inhale, send the left leg up. 3-legged dog. And release. Inhale, send the gaze forward again. Right leg through and the left leg through. Take a half forward lift. So your gaze comes forward in front of you. Inhale, exhale, start dropping the head and taking the gaze in between your legs or towards your navel. Breathing. Inhaling, exhaling. Inhale, start lifting the gaze. Press down through the feet, lifting the hands. Go slowly to come up. Take your gaze to the fingertips. And then bring your gaze to your hands and your heart center. Breathing. Nice deep breaths. Long and smooth. Inhale, start pressing down through the feet. Inhale, the hands up towards the ceiling. Take your drishti high to the ceiling and the fingers. Exhale, opening up, diving down. Drishti coming forward a little bit in front of your mat in halfway lift. Exhale, fall down. Drishti falls as the head drops towards your navel. Inhale, exhale, step back with your right leg. So we're lunging forward this time, taking our gaze up a little bit so we've got that length through the back of the head and neck. Breathing. Pressing the hands down, stepping back with the left leg, lowering yourself down. Inhale, rising up, lifting the gaze. Exhale, downward facing dog, gazing to the navel or in between the thighs. Breathing, 3 deep breaths. Inhale, take your gaze forward, right leg through, lunging forward. Starting to feel some warmth through the body now. Inhale, stepping the other leg through, halfway lift. Exhale, fold yourself down, dristy to the navel, draw the belly up and back. Inhale, press the feet down, bending the knees, rising up with the hands to your heart center. Take your gaze down towards your hands. 3 deep breaths, rounding down. Inhaling, begin to plant the feet more, lifting the hands, lifting your drishti. Exhale, opening the arms, take your drishti forward and down. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, folding down, drishti back as you step back with your right leg. So keeping your drishti towards your navel, and then as you send the right leg back, keeps the weight and energy moving in the direction of the foot. Press down through your right hand and open up through your left hand, taking the drishti up towards the ceiling. Again, if it's not suitable for your neck, always choose the option that's going to support your body. Inhale, exhale, take the left hand down and step yourself back into plank. Keeping the gaze ahead, chest in between the hands, pushing the ground away as you send the upper back towards the ceiling. Lower yourself down. With control, elbows in tightly. Engaging the legs fully as you peel yourself up. Take your gaze up to the wall. A nice long back, long neck. Inhale, exhale, downward facing dog. 3 breaths, or take child's pose. Inhale, take your gaze forward, step your right leg through. Plant the left hand down this time and send the gaze to lift up with a hand. And this gaze encouraging to open the chest out towards the side. Inhale, drop the hand with the gaze. Send your right leg back and come vinyasa down to the ground again. Inhale, start lifting your gaze. Exhale, everybody, taking child's pose. Take the knees wide and feet together. And lower yourself, bring forehead onto the floor. Long breaths, regulating your breathing. Inhale, start lifting yourself up, lifting your gaze towards your hands. Lifting the hips high. So we're going to try a little bunny hop forward using your drishti. So come high onto the toes, bend the knees so the hips are really high. And then bring the gaze forward and press into the hands. Now push the hips back, spring off the feet, and come to the tip of your mat. Inhale, lift up halfway. Take the gaze up. And exhale, lower your gaze and bring the gaze to the navel. Inhale, press down through the feet, lifting up. Exhale, hands up. Preparing for Uttanasana. Sealing your feet together and your knees. And start pressing down and squeezing your inner thighs together. Sitting low, taking the gaze up towards the hands. So again, if this feels awkward or tight for your neck, or not for today, keep the gaze facing ahead. Of course, the options of keeping the arms forward or resting onto your hips. So I can see when I'm not squeezing my inner thighs together here, because I'm wearing black, it's quite useful. And actually I can see that if I do squeeze really firmly, that actually you can't see any light whatsoever. And I'm really engaging through my inner thighs and sending a navel all the way back. So you could come quite low, but the tailbone is sending down to the floor. Inhale, bring the hands and your drishti to center. And then as we twist around to the right, we're going to send our gaze and drishti up to the elbow, up to the right elbow. So we're pressing down through the hands and taking the gaze up to the elbow. We're helping to open up the chest. Inhale, exhale, come back to center. Sending your gaze over to your left elbow, squeezing your hands together. Come back to center. Inhale, send your gaze up, and then lower yourself down. Take your gaze to your navel. Inhale, lifting up. Exhale, stepping back with the right leg. Right hand down to the floor, left hand up to the ceiling. Inhale, exhale. Take your gaze down, step yourself back and lower down. Inhale, lifting the gaze. Exhale, tucking the toes, the gaze automatically comes down towards your navel or in between your thighs. Inhale, take your gaze forward, step your right leg through, twisting around to your right side. Inhale, send the right hand down. Step yourself back and lower down to the floor. Inhaling up, cobra. Exhaling, child's pose. Take the forehead to the floor. Take another 3 deep breaths. And when you're ready, start lifting yourself up, pressing down through your hands, lifting the hips. Inhaling, taking your gaze forward, stepping your right leg through, and coming into warrior one, so sitting that back foot down, and taking your gaze up with you.
Opening up now into warrior two. So setting your foundations, opening the arms and shoulders, and then take your gaze over your front middle fingers. Lunging perhaps a little bit lower, but keeping your gaze there. Inhale, straightening the front leg, taking the feet wide as your mat. Really working down through the edges of your feet. Inhale, send the arms up with your drishti. Drop your tailbone and lifting and lengthening through the crown of the head to come forward. Release the head. Release the hand. And breathing, wide-legged forward fold. So the drishti again here is towards the navel. So just checking these positions of downward facing dog and forward fold, that the head is not cranking back too much, that it's actually your gaze. So just make sure that it's just your eyes and your sight moving rather than your whole head. So the head still wants to be drawing all the way down towards the floor, and then the gaze lifts up towards the navel. Because otherwise, if you're tilting your head so much to look to the navel, you're going to be in this kind of position, which is not ideal. So remember that it's your sight, that it's your drishti, your focus, not your head moving. It can be really easily mistaken. When you take your gaze, you take the whole head with you. So just practice this perhaps whenever you can. Whenever you go to look at something, try and look just with the eyes. Exercise the eyes and the eyeballs. And try to keep the whole head out of the equation. Take an inhale, start taking the gaze forward a little bit. And then moving the left foot around to the other side of your mat. And coming up into warrior one slowly. Put your head down low. So just stay slowly through warrior one. Last breath here. And slowly opening up into warrior two. Take your gaze over your front middle finger. And then cartwheel the hands down so you're facing the other side of your mat. And stepping yourself back, lower down, knees, chest and chin. Inhale up, cobra. Exhale, take child's pose. Or you can take puppy pose here if you want to. So choose your options. Either a deeper stretch with the shoulders, in puppy pose, or sending the hips back. Inhale, start lifting the gaze, stepping your hands firmly into the mat, pressing down through your feet. Inhale, take your gaze ahead, step your right leg through, and the left leg. Press down through the feet, bend the knees, lifting up slowly. Inhale, exhale. settling down through your heart center. And grounding down through your feet. So begin to feel really grounded down through the soles of your feet. And we're just going to take a mountain pose to begin with. So arms down by your side. You could take a little gap between your feet and knees if you want to, for a little bit more stability. And we're sending the fingertips down towards the floor. So although we are engaging some parts of our body, keeping that awareness, we're also relaxing as well through the shoulders. So this is called mountain pose for a reason that it's nice and grounded, strong, dynamic, also lifting high through the crown of the head. So the shoulders are drawing back in a way and sending the hands down. So there's a dynamic energy pulling you down through your fingertips. But at the same time, you need to soften off at your shoulders. Keeping the length through the back of the head and neck by drawing the chin down a little bit. And coming fully into your breath. And by practicing mountain pose, by just standing, we start to get an experience of actually things being quite slow and sturdy. And we start realizing that actually it's just ourselves that are rushing around. So we can take our pace as slow or as fast as we want to, as we choose to. But the rest of the world is just going at a normal pace. And once our brain and our body slows down a little, the rest of our life can feel like it's taking that slightly slower pace. And this is a great pose to do on days, I know, far away from us, but days like Christmas Day or any day that is, you know, that's going to be really busy and demanding perhaps. And this is a great pose to just stay in for just 5-10 minutes without the family around, just standing. Eyes closed if you can, otherwise just keeping your drishti in one place. Choosing one focal point, perhaps put a candle in front of you if you need that point of reference. And begin taking the hands in front of you in prayer. And start to find your chosen focal point for tree pose. And start to put the weight down through the left foot and choose your option of where you would like to place your foot for today's practice. So seeing how your hips or knees are, seeing if your balance feels okay, and choose an option, try and stick with it, keep your focus in one place. So by drawing on one focal point, we just see one direction. And breathing fully. Send the hands up if you want to, and change the focal point if you want to, or keeping it straight ahead or taking it up towards your hands. Using your breath as your anchor. Staying if you want to for another few breaths. And obviously, the longer we stay in these poses, the more beneficial. The more it is a great practice for your focus. So when you feel ready, start pushing down through that right leg and take the left foot out to the side, wherever it may be. Keep with your drifting point, your point of reference, and stay on that one point. Try not to hover your sight around that point, keeping it as one spot. And your breath as a focus and anchor, and your sight, your drishti. Send the hands up towards the ceiling, either keeping the drishti here or sending it up with the hands. And you can notice if your drishti moves, because suddenly you might wobble, or you might suddenly start thinking of something. So just by bringing your attention back to that one focal point can make just masses of difference of how long you hold your pose. Lovely. So press your hands down to the mat, seal the hands. Enjoying your internal practice, send the arms up, take your drishti with you. Exhale, move yourself forward. And inhale, lengthen your spine. And lengthen it even more and open up your feet a little bit, perhaps hip width apart. And take your fingers around your big toe, or taking them around your ankle. And with this, start lengthening, moving drishti forward. So the chest moves forward and the spine really starts lengthening. You can feel that nice stretch at the back of your legs. And the legs, the tops of the thighs can outwardly rotate. So by putting a little bit of weight through the outer edges of your toes, the outer edges can move out as well. And once you've found that length, start to exhale and move yourself forward, allowing your head to drop down towards the floor. So almost like you've got a little magnet dropping down, and your gaze again towards your navel, your gaze rather than your head. And then, if you wish, you can keep your gaze, your focal there, or you can close off the eyes softly. And breathing. Remember, the knees can stay a little bit soft. Last 2 breaths here. And slightly drawing the gaze up in front of you on the mat.
Release your fingers from the toes. Bring the hands down and step yourself back. And lower yourself to the ground in plank. And inhale to cobra. Exhale, child's pose. Inhale, slowly lifting the gaze. And when you feel ready, coming over onto your seat. And take the feet together, knees apart. And make some movements through with your knees and breathing. And then stop bringing the knees in, lengthening the legs away. So coming into seated forward fold. The gaze stays towards the toes as you come forward, but this is again direction for your eyes rather than your neck. So what can happen sometimes is if you come down into a forward fold and you're looking too high up towards your toes, you end up getting too much of a sore, stiff neck looking back. So the gaze can either stay a little bit lower if you feel more comfortable, but just try and practice maybe your head staying straight, lengthening the head, but the gaze lifting up towards the toes. So let's lengthen through the arms and exhale, fold forward. Find that length through your back. Slight bend, maybe, or softness through your knees. And breathing. Relaxing your shoulders. Take another 5 deep breaths here. Allowing your breath to take you deeper into the pose. And keeping your navel drawing back to your spine to support your lower back. And start slowly coming out. So counter stretch to forward fold. We'll take our Uttanasana. So you can either choose extending legs in Uttanasana, fingertips just behind the hips, engaging the legs, pointing the toes away and lifting up through the legs, gazing upwards, but really feeling strong and engaged through the legs. Otherwise, taking the option of reverse tabletop to lift up. Another 2 deep breaths here. Good. And lowering. And let's straighten out the left leg in front of us, keeping that right leg bent. Inhale, send the right hand behind you. And inhale, lengthen with your left hand. And either options, hooking the elbow around the knee or using the hand. Lengthen through your spine, engage the navel. And send your gaze over to your right shoulder. So your head is twisting in that direction a little bit. But just
check with yourself that you're not taking a kind of owl head where your head needs to spin all the way around. You'll just end up straining it. So take your head in just to a position a little bit further from neutral, and then send your gaze over to your right shoulder. And lengthen up through your spine again. Engage your navel. Another 2 deep breaths here. And coming back to center, counter twisting to the other side. And coming back. And swapping sides. Extending the right leg. Inhaling, sending the left hand behind you. Inhale, right arm up. Either the elbow or the hand. So choosing this option with the hand if the chest is feeling tight, or the shoulders and neck. Lengthen through your spine. Take your head over a little bit, and the gaze then follows over to your left shoulder. Breathing, nice deep twist. And slowly come back around and counter twist to the other side. And slowly start moving your way down onto the mat. Let's just send the legs up towards the ceiling for a moment and point and flex the feet, take some circles with the ankles. Start bending through your right leg, squeeze your right knee, and then extend and lengthen the left leg along the floor. And breathing here, giving yourself a nice stretch through that extended leg. And take your left hand to support your left hip. So just take a little grip onto your left hip. And use your right hand onto your right knee to open up the knee to the side. Breathing fully, the hips able to open up a little. And come back to center. And squeeze in the left knee. Send the right leg up towards the ceiling. And start extending that right leg, lowering with control to the floor. Then take a nice stretch away with that right leg. And then take your right hand onto your right hip, slowly opening up your left hip and stabilizing your right hip down to the floor. So just that hand just resting on your right hip, just helping it to not roll to the other side too much. So you've just got a subtle grip. Breathing into the hips opening. And gently come back to center. And bringing both knees up for a moment and just lower both feet to the floor and arms down by your side as we begin bridge pose.
So start pushing fully down through the feet and start tilting the pelvis a little, leading up with the thighs towards the ceiling. And breathing, linking the hands and the fingers together, drawing shoulders underneath. And once you're in this position, really feel the inner thighs moving towards each other and really pressing down through the feet, aiding to lift you higher through the chest, but keeping that softness through the chest and collarbones. Nice, soft, deep breaths here. Breathing fully into your throat chakra, balancing thyroid glands. Take another 5 deep breaths here if you can. Strong through the legs. And lowering down whenever you need to. So if you want to take wheel pose today, if you feel like it, you can start making your movements into wheel pose, or you can take bridge pose again. So I'll just demo with you wheel pose, setting the hands down by the sides of your ears, elbows moving in towards one another, so you don't want the elbows splaying out to the side too much. And then start to bring pressure through your feet, the weight coming into the feet, lifting the hips, and then come onto the top of your head. Press down through your hands, lift the chest up, move the chest away from you. Breathing, pushing the ground away fully. Sealing your inner thighs together. And whenever you come down onto the head, and then the back of the head, and then roll yourself down slowly. Draw the knees up towards the chest, wherever you are, if you just come out of bridge pose or wheel. And then draw the head up towards the knees for a moment, so giving the back of your neck a stretch. And then coming down. Let's take happy baby pose, take the inside parts of your soles. And draw the knees down towards the armpits, moving from side to side, massaging either side of your spine. And come back to center. Take the knees towards your chest and arms open as you begin to take your knees to the right side. And take your gaze over to your left hand. So again, the head and neck don't have to come fully twisted around so that the left ear is onto the mat. It can just be a subtle movement of the head and neck, and then simply the gaze, your sight is moving towards the hands. So of course, either keeping a drishti here, keeping one focal point, or if you need to, close off the eyes. Slowly start taking your head back to neutral
And the knees back to center. Drop the knees over to the opposite side and take your gaze to your right hand. Settling here, breathing. Gently bring the head back to neutral. And the knees back. And lowering the feet down on the floor. So, starting to move into Shavasana. So taking the legs wide onto the mat. Setting the head and the shoulders down and the arms down by your side. And finding your Shavasana, your position for relaxation. Feel free to take covers. One eye pillow if you've got an eye pillow. And settling yourself down here. Feel your drishti moving within. Feel yourself settling into your soft breath. And feeling that overall lightness within the body. And complete surrender. Letting go of the whole of the body. Letting go of the mind. The radiance of space permeates the body and all directions simultaneously. Space is always here, already here before you're noticing of it. What we call space is a presence, permission to exist, and worlds within which to express, without thinking about it, without forming mental images, rest in this vast expanse, friends with infinity. So sink deeper into your Shavasana. Noticing how the body wants to relax and release itself. Spine can reset. Shoulder blades settling down and feeling heavy. The back of the head. And just noticing the sensation and that subtle vibration of all of the cells in your body healthily and magically moving around. The lightness in your body. And the body's feeling so light. It's almost like you're resting and lying on a cloud. complete sense of freedom. Start taking a deeper breath and bringing awareness back into your body. The awareness back into the room that you're in. And then slowly start moving your fingers and your toes. And when you feel ready, you can move yourself to a to curled up position. Curled up ball. And breathing fully. Just noticing your breath moving a little bit deeper into your body now. And feel your breath moving into the whole of your back. And as you start thinking about coming up to a seated position, take that lightness with you as you move slowly into your seat. Keep the eyes softly closed. And simply just notice your breath moving in and out of your body. And bring the hands gently into prayer in front of your heart center and sealing to close our practice with the hands and the fingers, sealing the hands together and coming back to your intention. Just reminding yourself of the intention that you made and repeat it to yourself 3 times. And as you finish repeating your intention to yourself, just cultivate that sense of gratitude and just give yourself a moment to be grateful for just a few things this morning. There's probably many, many things, but just the ones that come to your heart immediately, give your deepest gratitude for. And release your head down towards your hands. Namaste.